Landing your dream job is hard, and that's why we are here. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the organizing committee, I warmly welcome you all to Mastering the Art of CV and Linking. Create your job winning CV, presented by Institute Pro 5.0, organized by the IEEE Young Professionals Sri Lanka. Undoubtedly, this evening will be a great opportunity for you all to reveal more things about how to make a lasting good impression in your next interview with the perfect CV. Also, this will be an ideal platform for you all to clear your doubts about how to present best yourself with your CV, and we hope that you will get the maximum benefit out of it. So, to take a nice onset to the session, I would like to invite the chair, Mr. Pro 5.0, Mr. Kavin Madhava, to welcome the gathering.
Thank you, Nadia. So, good evening, everyone. On behalf of organizing committee, I warmly welcome you to the second session of Student Pro 5.0, Mastering the Art of CV and LinkedIn, presented by IEEE Young Professionals Sri Lanka. I would like to extend a special welcome to our speaker today, Mr. Mas Savanan, who will be sharing his expertise on CV writing with you tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mas, for accepting our invitation and taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. It's my great pleasure to welcome Chairman of IEEE Sri Lanka section, Professor Pradeep Abegunawardana, and all the executive committee members of IEEE Sri Lanka section. Then I would like to welcome IEEE Young Professional Sri Lanka Chairman, Mr. Dhammika Marasinghe, Student Activities Committee Chairman, Mr. Chamika Subasinghe, as well as the section representative, Mr. Vidura Bandara. I would also like to welcome all the attendees who are here with us today. StudPro 5.0 awares to bring you a whole new variety of workshops and other valuable events to prepare you to put your best foot forward in your future interviews, followed by a career fair to help you interviewed by the industry giants. Before we get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who generously helped to make this event a success. I hope that you all will be left with something of value in your journey ahead after completing this event. I welcome you all once again to this session and hope that you are all will have a great time ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kavin. A small reminder for all of you. A Slido link will be shared in the chat box. So if you have any questions, you need any clarifications from our speaker, please drop them in Slido. So without any further delay, let me introduce the guest speaker of today's session. With over 18 years in the field of human resources, learning and development, business partnering, employee branding and engagement, he has 5 years of experience in human resource management as a generalist at Mars Holdings and 5 years in a strategic HR role specializing in learning and development at group level. He currently oversees the HR function at Attune Lanka, SAP and technology consulting company owned by Mars Holdings. So I'm extremely honored to welcome Mr. Mas Savanan. Warmly welcome and over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Navodia, for the introduction, and it's such a pleasure to be here with all of you this evening. I think I have about 45 minutes, a little more than that with you, so I would like to give you as much information and insight about getting your CV right, as well as how do you really brand yourself on LinkedIn, and that is what I endeavor. What I do promise you is this won't be a normal approach. I won't take you through a cool CV format, but I will share with you some important information that will be very valuable when you do your CV. And like I said, I guarantee if you do walk away from this session with a couple of points, you will be able to land the job of your dreams. That is a promise I make. But you need to pay attention, take the notes. If you need to take any notes down as well, have a pen and paper in hand. What I will do is I will first take you through some personal branding, because before we even talk about writing your CV, it's so important for each and every one of us to know and understand what our brand means, right? Then what I will do is I will share with you a CV, a sample CV, and take you through the pluses and minuses of that CV. And eventually I will share with you a LinkedIn profile, and I'll tell you exactly what you need to have in that profile in order to be effective. right? So that is the plan I have for you for the next, say, 45 to 50 minutes. Let me quickly share my slide deck as well. So I'm guessing you can see my slide deck. Can everyone see my slides? Kavin?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay, so basically, I would like to ask you all a question. I'm not sure whether you all have access to the chat box or whether you can raise your virtual hands, but how many of you would like to get the job of your dreams? If you are able to, raise your virtual hands if you would like to get the job of your dreams. Okay, I can see a few people raising their hands. Great. How many of you all would like to have a very rich profile, one that you could use and get a lot of benefit from employers? How many of you all would like that, right? So I'm guessing all of you all would. And how many of you all would like to be in control of your career? So what does that mean? Well, when you graduate out of university, there are two different ways to look at getting a job. One means settling for any job that presents itself in front of you, or finding the job that you really want to get, the job of your dreams. And that's what you call being in control of your career, right? So I'm sure many of you all would like to do that as well. And like I said, I promise you, if you do walk away with some of the tips today, you will definitely be able to alter the course of your own career. So who am I? I think I was already introduced, but let me just quickly talk about myself really quickly. So I've been in the field of HR and learning and development for about 23 years. So from the introduction, a few things have changed. So currently, I'm the global head of learning and development for an American technology company called Rising. So I currently am based in Sri Lanka, where I work remotely, but we have about 1,500 consultants based all over the world. So I am also a trainer and lecturer. So I am a corporate trainer, and I lecture a couple of MBA programs at private institutions in Sri Lanka. I also do a number of different sports, long distance running, rugby, football, and a number of different things. And I'm also a life coach. So that practically means I help people get to the best versions of themselves by helping leverage on their strengths and their opportunities. So that's a quick gist of who I am. Okay, so I would like to ask you all a question. I know, I just want to ask Kavin, do they have access to the chat box?
Yeah, they
do,
do.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, if you see the Mercedes-Benz logo, right? In terms of attributes, what comes into your mind? What comes into your mind when you see the Mercedes-Benz logo? Put it on the chat box, guys. What comes into your mind when you see the Mercedes-Benz logo? Anybody? There's no wrong answer here, guys. Cars, prestige, great, Ravindu. Awesome. Cars, yeah. So like Ravindu mentioned, these are attributes, right? Luxury, great answer again, Hiruni. Superb. Okay, so luxury, prestige were one of the main themes that came out of that. Great stuff, guys. Okay, next, I would like you to look at the Toyota logo. What comes into your mind when you see Toyota? What are the attributes that come into your mind? Affordability, great, Hiruni, superb. What else? Popular, great, Lisa, brilliant. What else comes to your mind? General purpose, exactly, great answer. Okay, so I think you've sort of got the gist of it. Affordability, popular, general purpose. I'm guessing it circles around economy, right? So great stuff, guys. So next is Tesla. When you see the Tesla logo, what comes into your mind? What do you think about when you see Tesla? The future, great, Ravindu, awesome. Innovation, electric cars, future, environmental friendly, great answers, guys. Sustainability, great answer. Unique, great. Complexity, right? Technology, Elon Musk, okay, awesome, guys. So what I wanted to share with you is, right, when we looked at these different brands, all of them were identified by a certain attribute or attributes. Mercedes looked at luxury, prestige, a very high class that was Mercedes. Toyota was more on popular economy, reliability, right? And Tesla was more about innovation, sustainability, futuristic, and all those things, technology, right? So these brands didn't create that image overnight. They purposefully positioned themselves so that people could identify what these brands stood for, right? Because so similar to that, right? Similar to these brands, each and every one of you also have the opportunity to purposefully build your brand in the way that you want people to see you, right? You have the opportunity to purposefully build your brand so that people will see you in the way that you want them to see you. Because what happens is normally we are not aware of our brand. We just do what we do, and whether we like it or not, people look at us, they look at our behaviors, they look at what we do, and they form some sort of impression about us. And after they do that, it is so difficult for us to shake off that personal brand, because that is what people think of us, and we can't change their opinion. It doesn't happen overnight. So how do people create an impression about you? Or how do they form a brand awareness about you? Well, they do it in a couple of ways, right? First and foremost, they do it by the friends you keep. So as they often say, you are the average of 5 people you spend the most time with. And let me repeat that. You are the average of 5 people you spend the most time with. So when they see you and your friends, they look at the people that you're with every day. And chances are you lead a very similar life to your closest friends, right? So my proposition is, right, if you want to create a purposeful brand, you need to be sure to find people who are on that same journey as you, right? Now, to give you an example from my life. Now, till about 3.5 years ago, I'd never read a book in my entire life. Not a single book. I was not able to go through even a page of a book because I used to fall asleep. I was very distracted. I used to procrastinate over it. I was not able to do that. And I knew by myself, I couldn't do it. There were days when I was motivated, but I knew I couldn't do it by myself. So that is when I joined a book club. So there is a book club in Sri Lanka called Pick a Book, which was a book club of readers. So every week they met up, shared, what they read, the different, the literature that they were reading, and I joined that club. So automatically, when you immerse yourself with people who are on that same journey as you, you also become like them. So what happened was, I also became a reader. And last year during COVID-19, from reading 0 books the previous year, I had read 36 books for the year. And for me, that was massive because I never thought I was capable of reading at all. So if you ever want to be something, find people who are on that same journey as you. Find people who are already doing it and surround yourself with those people. Now, for example, if you had 4 billionaire friends, I guarantee in 2 years, you'll become a billionaire, no doubt. Because you learn their habits, their lifestyle, the way they do things, you will also become like that. So sometimes when we are on our own transformational journey, we get stuck sometimes because the people who we surround ourselves with are just like us. And whenever we try to make transformation and change our lifestyle, our friends tend to sometimes pull us down and say, no, you don't have to do that. It's too difficult. It's too risky. But sometimes you need to take certain sacrifices, and there will be collateral damage when you're going or taking your life to the next level. And that is called transformation. So as they often say, guys, if you are the smartest person in the room, well, you're probably in the wrong room, right? So find people who challenge you, get the best out of you, who will push you to be more than you are today. That is who you need to surround yourself with. So people watch who you surround yourself with and they form an impression about you. So that's something you need to understand, right? The second point is people look at what activities you do, right? Do you spend a lot of time in the library? Do you spend a lot of time playing sports? Do you spend a lot of time listening to music? Do you spend a lot of time socializing? They look at what you do on a daily basis and they form an impression about you. So what you can do is you can purposefully build your brand by doing things that you want people to see. Now, I'm not saying that, do things that you don't like, but if you are a type of person who likes adventure or nature or photography or whatever, make sure that people see you getting involved in those activities because that is who you really are, right? So that's the second point. The third point is your digital footprint. Really important, guys. So why is this so important? Well, it's important because everything that you make public on social media, right? Everything that you make public, you are giving access to 7 billion people across the world. 7 billion people. They're watching you, they're forming an impression about you, and whether it's true or not of your personality, they are thinking you are like this. So that's why, guys, it's so important to be conscious with whatever you post, even on social media, because people are watching you and they're forming some sort of impression about you. So my proposition for all of you all is, if you're posting something, do it intentionally. Now, if your values are, I want to save the planet, I want to save animals, I want to become the best version of myself, well, then your post that you make public should ideally portray those elements. Or don't make it public because people are forming an impression about you. Now, if you say that's no one's business, that's my business, that is okay as well. But make sure you make your group private, because whatever you make public, you are having your future employers, look at you and form some sort of impression about you. Now, even today, right, many employers, even certain consulates like the US Embassy, for example, if you're applying for US visa, they do a background check looking at your social media, your digital footprint, to see what you're posting on. Are you posting things about politics, about religion, about disharmony, whatever? And they are deciding whether you will fit into their country, into their companies by what you post. So it's very important, guys, to be aware of that, right? So, many companies, they have social media checks, because when you are selected for the interview, there's so much they can get out of that interview, right? But they want to see what type of person this is. And that is where they actually go into social media and see whatever you made public and see what type of character you have, right? So that's that point. The next is people look at you, your appearance, right? Now, when I was growing up, right, if you had long hair, you liked heavy metal music. If you had short hair, you liked, if you wore baggy trousers, you liked hip hop music, right? So people look at you and they form some sort of impression about you. Now, suppose you're applying for a vacancy in an IT company and the picture on your profile or your CV is very formal. Well, then people will think maybe this person won't fit into our company, because we're looking for people who are creative, who are full of color, full of enthusiasm, and maybe someone with a suit may not be applicable to our culture, right? So be very aware about appearance as well, right? Because that is very unique. It's very unique to you. Like, for example, if I saw all of y'all right now, right? There are about 100 people in the room right now. If I told those of y'all who work out every day of the week, put your hands up, or at least 5 days a week, put your hands up, and you'll put your hands up and you'll open your camera, I could for sure tell you there's a certain definition about your body. There's a certain way that you carry yourself, because by those habits of working out 5 days a week, you will look in a certain way, right? So appearance is another way that people form an impression about you. And finally, attitude. Are you someone who's approachable, or are you someone who is not approachable? Like, for example, if you're someone who says, good morning, how are you, how's it going, and you're very friendly, right? People will come to you and ask you for help. They will come to you and speak to you. But if you're someone who's grumpy, who's never communicating, people will not approach you. So it's really important to understand that attitude also is fundamental in people creating a brand about you, right? So before I go into the CV, I just wanted to tell you all very straightforward that understand what your personal brand is. What do you want people to know of you? And is it consistent with your values? Right? What is the legacy that you want people to think about you? What is your personal brand? If you do not know what your personal brand is, what is so unique about you, nobody else will know. So before you do your CV itself, you need to know what your personal brand is. Does that make sense, guys? If that makes sense, can I get a virtual show of hands? Yeah, cool, guys, cool. Okay, so I'm just going to move on to the next slide, guys. Okay, so this is maybe some homework that you may want to do, right? You can take a screenshot of this if you want, but this is some homework for you. What I would like you to do is identify, think about this. Who are you? What do you want people to know you for? Are you someone who wants to be known as a hard worker, someone who's creative, someone who is innovative? What do you want people to know you for? And once you know that answer, what are you going to do to get there, right? What are you going to do every single day to get closer to that objective? So you can think about this, right? Today we only have 1 hour, so I don't have time to go into that. But guys, just think about this. And even later on, if you want to get in touch with me and share these points with me, and maybe I can help you build a plan around this, you can reach out to me. That's not a problem. But for now, just think about this. Go home. I mean, when we're done with this call, think about a strategy around this, right? Cool. So next is, guys, I'm going to share with you a CV, and I'm not going to do the normal standard CV format presentation. And I'll explain exactly why. So a couple of months ago, maybe about a year ago, actually, I went into a university because I was invited for the mock interview, the career day mock interviews. So they invited myself and a couple of others to be a part of that mock interview. So I went in there, I sat down, and students started coming and sharing with me their CVs. So the first CV looked really nice. The format was brilliant, and I liked the way it looked, and that was really great. Then the second person came. Again, very familiar, almost the same format, a beautiful format, but again, very familiar. Then the third person came. I'm like, okay, this is the same format. Then the fourth person came, the fifth person came, and everyone had the same format. It was an amazing format, but everyone had the same format, and there was no uniqueness. There was no differentiation. What I did is I just excused myself. I said, excuse me, can you give me 5 minutes, please? And the students just sat there. I went upstairs to the head of department and I said, sir, can I bother you for a few minutes? And they said, yeah, of course you can. I'm like, by any chance, did anyone come recently and conduct a workshop on how to do CVs? They're like, yeah, we had one last week because we knew you were coming this week. We had someone from the industry come and run a presentation on CV formats. I'm like, bingo, now I know what happened. And believe it or not, guys, now in my 20 years of experience in HR, I've interviewed tens of thousands of students. And even today, when I get a CV, I can tell you from which department, from which university that CV has come from without even looking at the details. It's because many students just copy that format. A really nice format like the one you're looking at the screen right now, but it's the same format. There's no uniqueness about it. So today's session, I'm not going to teach you on the format. I'm going to tell you what you need in your CV. And I'm going to teach you how to make your CV individual and unique to only you, because there's only one you, right? So guys, I'm just going to unshare my screen now, and I'm going to share a CV format, which is a sample CV format, but I'm going to share some thoughts about it. Because of the interest of time, we may not have time to make it very interactive, right? Because I think we only have about 30 minutes, but I will go through each detail, right? And I will tell you what to do and what not to do. Is that okay with everyone? Can I have a virtual show of hands? Awesome, guys, awesome. Just give me a second. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, guys. So I'm guessing you can see my screen. It's a PDF document. Kavin, you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, awesome. Right. So guys, this is a CV format, right? Not the greatest format, but let's go through the details. Now, this is a picture of a person with a slightly exaggerated face. Now, the first question is, many people might ask, do you need a picture? Yes or no? Is it important? Yes or no? Right? Just for the sake of a quick discussion, Navodia, what do you think? Do you need a picture? Yes or no? Navodia or even Kavin, what do you think? Do you need a picture? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think it's important to see other people how we look.
Okay, thanks, Kavin, right? So it's like this, guys, right? There is no right or wrong answer here. In certain countries, like say in Europe, they tell you don't put a picture because they want to eliminate any bias. So they say don't put a picture. We don't want to know how you look like. But in places like Sri Lanka and most other parts in the world, it is up to you whether you want to put a picture or not. But what my advice to you is, if you're putting a picture, adding a picture, do it with a purpose. right? Do it intentionally. Why are you putting a picture? Now, for example, I think I mentioned this before. If you are applying to a bank, for example, right? And you want to show them that you are formal and educated and very smart and bureaucratic, by all means, put a picture with you in a suit and a tie. They'll love it, right? But looking for someone who's very serious, very formal, government department, or maybe even a bank or a public institution, they will want someone who a little more formal, right? Now, what happens if you send that same picture of you with a coat and a tie and all that for a company to a company like Google or Facebook? Now they are looking for people who are creative, people who are very innovative, full of color, full of life, full of exuberance. And then they see someone who's so formal, their first impression will be, this person doesn't fit into my culture. So understand the company that you're applying to first and foremost, right? And then have a picture that is very consistent with that sort of company culture, right? If you're applying to Google, they're looking for someone with a t-shirt. They're looking for someone obviously who's smart, but someone who's a little more casual, more innovative, more laid back. They're looking for that sort of profile, right? Now, when you decide to put a picture, add a picture, right? Make sure you do it professionally. Whether it's a casual picture or a formal picture, make sure you do it professionally. Either go into a studio. You know, I mean, we spend so much of money on university events and our dancers and our plays and so many things, right? But we don't invest money on the certain things that count so much, like getting the right picture done. Now, I've seen so many students, you know, of them cropping a picture when they were at a wedding or an engagement or, you know, something, and they put it as a picture. Guys, whatever you put on your CV, make sure you're putting it with a purpose. And the purpose is you want to show something, illustrate who you are. That's important, guys, right? So, guys, I'm showing you right now a format of a CV, but many of these principles also apply on LinkedIn as well, right? So please remember that. Next is your name. Now, many of us in Sri Lanka, we have, and in other parts of the world as well, we have a number of different initials and names. Now, this person's name is Janice Armitage, which is brilliant. She's given the first name and second name, right? Now, sometimes we tend to put all our names there or all our initials there. And that doesn't really help the recruiter or the HR department. And you know why? Because when we get your CV, you know, when you email us your CV, we put your CV or your name into a database. So when you have 3 or 4 names, sometimes we might put the wrong name as a first name, the wrong name as a second name. So now fast forward maybe 2 weeks later, and you want to call the HR department to understand the status of your CV, of your application. You call HR and say, hi, listen, my name is Upul. I want to check on my application. They check on their system. There's no Upul. Sorry, we don't have you. And then your application gets dropped there itself. So for convenience sake, guys, make sure you only put your first name and your last name. Initials and your other names, when you get hired, you can add that to your EPF and, you know, to your personal file and all that. But for the purpose of your CV, just have first name and last name, right? Really important. Next is with this picture. One thing I forgot to tell you. Now, this picture might seem inappropriate, right? But what if this person was applying to drama school? Then it might be very applicable, right? So remember, picture has to be with a purpose, right? Next is the name. Next is mobile number, guys. Now, when you put your mobile number, try to give 2 numbers. And I'll tell you why this is important. Maybe you can give a mobile number and your house residential number, or even a cousin's number, that's fine. Why 2 numbers? Well, it's like this, right? What HR will do is they will call from their land phone in the HR department. They will call you and schedule an interview. Sometimes if you're in class, or sometimes you are not able to pick up the phone, or maybe, you know, you don't have signal, then you will not get that call. Maybe later you might see there's a missed call. And then you call back on that number. And when you call back, it gets directed to the general line of that company. And the receptionist will pick up. And when the receptionist picks up, you're like, hi, I got a missed call. Did anyone call me? They're like, no, this is this company. I don't have any record of anyone, me calling you on this number. And again, you lose on your application. But when you have 2 numbers, you're doubling your chances, right? Maybe someone at home can pick up. Maybe they can take a message. Maybe they can ask, okay, who's calling? so that you know exactly who to ask for when you're returning that call. So in CVs, guys, you don't want to leave anything to chance. Put 2 numbers as a measure of just safety. So if something goes wrong, you have a plan B, right? Have 2 numbers. The next is email address, guys, right? Obviously, like many of us who are at university, we sometimes tend to carry on or carry forward the same email addresses that we had when we were young. But as we progress in our lives, we need to change it to something a little more professional as well. So we can't have girl rules at hotmail.com or hotboy at gmail.com. Those won't work as you start progressing in the corporate world, right? What you need to do is have a very simple email address, which is not too complicated, guys. Now, suppose you have a long surname and a long first name. Don't make that as your email address. Because what happens is, guys, when HR schedules interviews, either on Zoom or on Microsoft Teams or even a calendar note, they will type your email address down and send you a calendar note. So if it's a very complicated email address, they might miss on 1 letter. 1 letter is enough, and you don't get that email. So now HR has joined the call, they're waiting for you to join, and you don't join. They're like, oh, maybe this person is not interested in the position, and that's why they haven't joined the call. When in reality, maybe you didn't even get that email inviting you for that session. So you don't want to leave anything for chance, guys. Even with an email address, make sure it's very simple, right? janice@hotmail.com, right? Janice 1959 or 2001 at hotmail.com. Keep it simple so that it is mistake proof, right? That is really important. So that's the first part of it. Does that make sense, guys? Can I get a virtual show of hands if it made a bit of sense? Awesome, cool. So the next, guys, I wanted to share with you is career objective and profile. Now, to be honest, guys, those days in the past, we did cover letters, right? 1 paragraph, 1 page of a cover letter about your whole mission and vision and your purpose in life. But to be honest, HR and the recruiters don't have time to go through all those cover letters when they're interviewing about 100 people. Make sure that your objective or summary of your profile is given in 2 or 3 points, right on top, right? So that even before going through the details, we know exactly what your profile looks like. That is important, right? Now, the next rule of thumb, and remember this, guys, don't forget this. The most important bit of information comes on top of your CV on page 1. The most important information comes on page 1. Now, why am I saying this? It's because now your recruiter will look at your CV. If they don't see anything that is relevant in page 1, they may not go to page 2 even. So what is the most important thing you need to put on page 1 itself, right? So what comes on page 1? Okay, so I would like to ask, I know many of them may not be able to unmute, but maybe one of the organizers. Navodia, if you're there, I know you're an organizer. Does the academic qualifications or does the work experience comes on the top? What comes first? What's more important? Academic qualifications or experience and projects and stuff like that? Okay, it's like this, guys, right? There's no correct right or wrong answer, but you have to understand what your employer is looking for, right? Now, suppose you are applying for a job as a trainer or a lecturer, right? Or an academic staff, then they are looking for academic qualifications as most important, right? So then you will have your master's degrees, your PhD, your professional qualifications all in the first page, because that is what they're looking for. Now, suppose you're applying to the corporate sector, and you have some sort of experience, then experience comes first because that is what they're looking for, right? Now, let me give you a very small example. Now, suppose all of you all are in a particular university. Hypothetically speaking, like for example, you all are from the University of Kelaniya, Faculty of Management, Information Systems and Technology, right? All of you all are from the same department. So head of department calls me and says, can you come for career day? Because all our students are graduating in that same degree. I'm like, superb, I'll come. Now, when I get their CV at the career day, the last thing I will look for is their degree. Why? Because, I mean, it's their graduation, right? All of them have the same degree. So I'm not even bothered about what their degree is, because I know all of them have got a degree and that's why they're here for career day. So I won't even ask them about their degree. What I'm asking for them is, what else have you done? What do I want to see on the CV? What else do you bring to the table? Do you have any internship experience? Any industrial training? Have you taken part in any projects, any competitions? This is what I want to see right on top. I already know you have the same degree, so I'm not really interested in that. But I want to see what else do you bring to the table? What is so unique about you that nobody else has in the room, right? So this is a very important question you need to ask yourself. Why me and why not somebody else? And if you can't answer that question, guys, you need to do some serious soul searching and understand, what do I have that nobody else has? What is so unique about me? And you need to find that answer, guys, right? So understand what is most important, and it comes to the top of your CV, right? Now, in this particular example, we have professional qualifications, right? Now, under professional qualifications, this person has put all their qualifications. A couple of mistakes here. One is there's no chronological order. It's all over the place. Make sure you have some sort of order, right? It could be chronological, whatever the order is, make sure it makes sense. First point. Second point is, look at the bullet points. They're all over the place. Different bullet points have been used. When you do that, right, and you're not consistent, your employer will think you don't have attention to detail. And they will think, if you can't spend that time for attention to detail for 2 pages of your CV, what will happen when you join my company? Will you be the same there as well? So make sure, guys, you put a lot of effort in getting the attention for detail. Get 2 or 3 people to look at it with fresh eyes to see if your CV is okay. Get someone professional to do it as well. It doesn't hurt, right? Because this single document will help you get your job of your dreams. So you don't want to leave anything to chance, guys, right? So make sure that your formatting is correct, consistent, the bullet points, you have chronological order. The next point I wanted to share with you is your grades. Now, suppose you've got straight A's for O-level and A-level, by all means, showcase it. So say you are a straight A student, you've got distinctions and everything. But if you haven't, if you've got like a C, S, another C, and maybe it won't sell, right? Because this is a marketing document, right? This is your marketing document. You are pitching to a client, which is your future employer. So if you think that won't sell, why do you want to put your grades? Just say you've done your O-levels and A-levels. Now at university, if you were in the dean's list, or if you've got a GPA of 4, by all means put it there. But if you've got a GPA of 2, or you're just barely getting through, you don't really need to put that information here. If they ask you at the interview, you know, what were your grades and all that, you can explain, I couldn't get good grades because of the power cuts and COVID and so many other reasons. But you need to first get to that interview. So to get to that interview, just put the information that they want to see. You can tell them about all your grades and everything else later. Just put what sells, because this is your marketing document, guys. So remember that, right? Does that make sense, guys? Can I have a show of hands if it makes sense so far? Awesome, guys. So I'm going to the next page now, right? So the next page is also really important. And believe me, when I go into people's LinkedIn profiles, right? 90% of people's LinkedIn profiles look like this, their work experience. They have the current place they're working, their designation, and the years that they have been working there. And they are thinking, why am I not getting called for jobs and interviews? Well, because it's not enough. By only having this information, it's not enough at all, right? Now, maybe you haven't had work experiences yet, but maybe you have some internship experience, some industrial training. What you need to add to this is, first and foremost, add the responsibilities. What did you have to do as, you know, as in this position? Like, for example, if I'm in HR, okay, my responsibilities are to make sure the payroll goes in time, to make sure that everyone's performance management is done, to make sure that everyone gets training, right? 3 responsibilities that I was in charge of. That is minimum, guys, that you need to put. Responsibilities. If you want to go one more level ahead, what you need to also add is, what were your achievements and accomplishments? What have you accomplished during this role? So, because you know why? Because if I'm applying for a job as an HR manager, everybody else would have gone through those same responsibilities as me, right? Who have applied. They all would have experience in performance management. They all have experience in payroll. They all have experience in learning and development. So there's no differentiation there. But what is unique about me are my accomplishments. You can say I was able to bring down absenteeism to 9%. I was able to come up with 3 new programs for learning and development. I was able to ensure that payroll went on time every single month. So these are accomplishments, guys. So when your employer sees this, they will think, hang on, this person has actually done this in this company. Maybe if they join my company, they can do the same thing. And that is your differentiation, guys. That is your uniqueness. So remember, guys, when you add your work experience, whether it's your CV or LinkedIn, mention your responsibilities first. And secondly, mention your accomplishments. That's really important, guys, right? Now, the next point I wanted to share with you is strengths. And to be honest, I'm not a big fan of this, this particular part on this CV. It says, I'm a team player, I have analytical skills, I have leadership abilities, I'm creative, and I'm a good communicator. But you know what? That means nothing to me. Why? Because anyone can say this. When I ask people at interviews, what are your strengths? They say, I'm a team player, I have good skills, analytical skills, I have leadership skills, I can work together. And I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. What is better than showcasing these words? I would rather see actual examples. So rather than saying, I'm a good team player, I would rather like to see, where did you play a role in a team? Did you play any sports for school or university? Were you members of any clubs, Interact, Rotaract? This is where I can see whether you are a team player or not. Leadership skills. Were you a prefect in school? Did you lead any project? Did you lead any assignment? This is where I can see leadership skills. Excellent communicator. Were you a member of a Gavel Club or a Toastmasters Club, or did you make presentations? This is where I want to see that you're a good communicator. Otherwise, I'm not going to believe you. So remember, guys, back up your strengths with actual examples and they will really help you. Now, sometimes at interviews, they ask you, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? And I think first, it's really important to know what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. But one of the best answers I ever got was when one student said, my biggest weakness is my communication is bad. But what I have done to mitigate that is I have joined the Gavel Club. I'm also hanging around with a lot of Toastmasters because I feel by making presentations, I can be better. Right now, I'm not good, but I feel I can get better. And I thought that was an amazing answer, because not only did this person recognize their weakness, this person also had a plan to get better by joining a Gavel Club, by joining a Toastmasters Club, to get better in communication. And for me, that's amazing, because if this person joins my company, they're not waiting until HR sends them on a training program. They have the initiative enough to understand their weaknesses and improve in these areas. So remember, guys, strengths are good, but back it up with examples, right? So just some insight there. Now, this particular extracurricular activities doesn't really make sense, because this person says, I was a team player. But when you look at the sports, they played chess in school. They've run the marathon, which is a very individual sport. So it doesn't really tie up. It doesn't add up. So rather than having these words, guys, make sure you have extracurricular activities that actually portray these skills. If not, don't even put it there. It's a waste of space, right? So that's that point. At the bottom, guys, references. So are references important or not? Well, some people say I will share references upon request, right? I've seen many university students as references put their senior lecturer and the head of department. But you know what, guys? Remember, your CV is a personalized document, like a project proposal you're giving to a potential client, which is your future employer. So you need to tailor make even your references to meet that requirement, right? So you don't have generic references for everyone. Now, for example, if I'm applying to the apparel industry, I'm applying to MAS Holding, for example, I want my references to be from that industry. If I'm applying to the IT industry, I want people from the IT industry. I want a Keith Moder, I want a Madhu Fernando, a Madhu Ratnaikar, I want a Chandi Dharmarat. I want people from that industry to be my references. Because in Sri Lanka, society is very small. The professional society is very small and everyone knows each other. And if I get a CV and you are and my reference is someone from the industry itself, I can just pick up the phone and ask, do you know this person? And it'll really help your chances, guys. So some of you might think, listen, right now I don't have these references. Well, you know what? Your CV is a living document. Until the day you retire, your CV keeps getting added and you keep modifying your CV. So today, maybe you don't have anyone in the IT industry, but you need to start building this network. You need to start building these connections in the IT industry as well, right? And how do you do it? Well, one way you don't do it is you don't just go on to LinkedIn, you add people. When they accept you, immediately say, hi, thanks for accepting my invitation. Can I send you my CV? It doesn't work like that. Relationships don't work like that. You have to spend time building relationships, right? Speak to them, share posts, connect with them, go for these societies. Sometimes it's boring, but you have to do these things to get your networks. As a famous management guru once said, your network is your net worth, right? Your network is your net worth. So let me explain how this comes into play. So suppose you want to apply to Virtusa, right, for a job in IT. Now, suppose you know someone in Virtusa, maybe in HR or in programming or whatever department, and you see a vacancy, and hundreds of people are going to apply for that vacancy. So if you know someone there, maybe you could just send your CV directly to that person, and as a courtesy, that person will send it to HR, and they will at least call you for that interview. You will have one little advantage. You may not be promised that job, but at least you'll be called for that interview. So guys, remember, invest in networks. Use your networks as references, guys. Don't have the same reference for every single job that you apply. It has to be relevant. It has to be someone from that industry as well. And if you don't have it right now, it's not too late, guys. So guys, I just want to leave you with another point that's really important. And that is, your CV ideally should not be more than 2 pages. Not no more than 2 pages. People with 20 years of experience, their CVs don't go more than 2 pages. So there's no reason why you should go more than that. It is not about the format, guys. It's what you have in that format. So currently, guys, what I would like you all to do is look at your CV. Look at gaps that you have. Certain things that you may not have right now. And it is a living document. You have to keep improving on it right now. That is what you have to do, right? That is what you have to do. So next, guys, I know we have about 10 minutes left with you. I'm going to show you a LinkedIn profile, and I'll show you my own LinkedIn profile, just so that I'm going to share a couple of tips with you, because the principles are the same, but certain things that I want you to be conscious of. And I'll share that with you right now. 1 second. Okay. 1 second. Let me just share my screen. Okay. So this is the LinkedIn profile, guys, right? So on top here, what I have right here is my purpose in life, right? This is my purpose. This is my guiding purpose that I want in life that drives every big decision I have. So my purpose is inspiring change and building human potential. So what I want to do is I want to help people become the best versions of themselves. And every single interaction that I have, any big decision I make, is tied to this purpose. So from my job to my personal associations to running this program for y'all, it's all tied to my purpose. So I have that right on top. Picture, I went into a studio, in particular as a studio called Shea Studio. I went and got a professional picture done because so many people are looking at your picture and they are forming some sort of impression about you. I didn't want to make it too formal. I didn't want to make it too casual. So it's a Chinese collar, buttons out, with a coat, right? Okay, so let's look at some of my experience. I want to show you this. Now, remember, I told you all, right? Mention your accomplishments. What did you achieve by doing certain work that you were doing, right? So what you can do is, let me share another one, which is better, right? These were my responsibilities. As an HR manager, this was an old position. Recruitment, onboarding, learning and development, employee engagement, these are the responsibilities. But most of the time, right, any HR manager will have all these, right? Because if you're an HR manager, you anyway have to be doing all these. So this is okay, but it's not enough. What really differentiates me is my accomplishments. Now, this is very unique to me, which many people may not have, right? Events that are organized, some competitions we went through, recruitment targets, right? So these are things that are unique to what I did. And share pictures to just showcase what these initiatives were, right? So just going the extra step, right? So education there, make sure that you put in your educational qualifications, the different things that you're involved in, volunteers, anything that you volunteered in. Get your friends or people who work with you to endorse your skills, right? So make sure that, people endorse your skills. So if I were to click on this, I'm not sure whether you can see this, but people will endorse your skills, right? This is a pop-up, so I'm not sure whether you can see this. Once people endorse your skills, another really important thing is this. Let me show you something. Is references, right? Recommendations. So if you're looking to book a hotel somewhere, you go on booking.com or hotels.com, you look at the references, right? What do people say about that hotel? So similar, get people who work with you, right, to recommend you, right? So they will write a paragraph and tell you how it is to work with you, right? So that is also really important, guys, right? Get people to write recommendations about you, right? So they will write. And so when people read this, they can get a very good impression about your character, right? So make sure that you get people to recommend you, right? So make sure, guys, your profile on LinkedIn is very detailed. You know why? Because when it's detailed, when someone is looking for a particular position, the keywords that you mention in your profile will get picked up and they will find your CV. But when you leave it very minimalistic, when you don't have enough of information, that is why your CV will not get picked up. So try to make it as comprehensive as possible. Does that make sense, guys? All good so far? Yeah? Virtual show of hands? Okay, guys. So I've just one more slide I want to share with you, which is just summarize everything because I believe we're almost out of time. Is this one. So just to recap, guys, right? The two most important events in your career, one is your CV, because if you don't get your CV right, you won't even be called for your interview, right? So spend time getting your CV right. Next is your interview. We're not talking about that today, but your interview is the second most important day of your professional career. And remember, guys, it's not about the format. Yeah, you can have a great format, but what's more important is your content. Sometimes you may not have the ideal content right now, but you can start building on your content even today. Start joining clubs and societies and get involved in different initiatives and doing more work because you're trying to build your CV. And your CV will continue to get built until the day you retire. That's important. Next is, it is a marketing document with information. So it's not only information, it is a marketing document with information, right? It's not more than 2 pages long. Make sure you pay attention to the little detail. Even a small spelling mistake, a typo, a comma, a bullet point, people will look at it and think you don't have attention to detail. And of course, guys, keep it professional, right? Keep it professional. Even if you have a casual picture, maybe go to a studio, get someone to take a really nice picture of you so that it is professional, very high resolution, because those things will matter in the global environment, a global setting. So guys, I'm just on time, I'm on the hour. I hope this was useful to you all. I hope certain points resonated with all of you all as well. Yeah, that's all I have for you all today. I think this was a 1-hour session. Thank you once again for inviting me. Any questions or anything that you would like to know? Now, Vodiak, are they able to turn on their cameras or are they restricted right now?
No, sir, they can. So there are a few questions.
Sure, please go ahead. Ask her.
Yeah, I'll quickly go through them. So, is it okay to put volunteering experiences under the experiences section of LinkedIn?
Yes, I mean, for sure. I mean, even if it's volunteering experience, it is experience all the same. If you think that experience will help you in some way, right? Even if it's organizing a charity project or a CSR project, for sure, put it there on experience. That will not hurt at all. Go for it.
Yeah, sure. And here we have, should I hide employment gaps on my CV?
Don't hide those gaps because I mean, anyway, the person who interviews you will ask you for those things. But you know what? It's okay to have gaps. because certain people take gap years off, certain people take years off because they are looking for employment and they haven't found a job of their choices yet. So it's okay to have these gaps. Be very show a lot of humility, show that be very honest even the way you do your CV, right? That honesty is the best way forward. Then, because when you hide certain things, then they will catch up on you later, because someone will ask you what were you doing during this time, and you might forget about why did I do this in the first place, why did I make this gap. So be very honest in the way you display information. That's okay.
Yeah. And here we have, how long should be a CV?
Not more than 2 pages, not more, guys. Most important, in the first page. If you have 3 pages and you don't have 20 years of experience, there's something wrong.
And is there any font types that we should use in the CV?
Right. So personally, what I use is Calibri, Verdana, Arial, Open Sans. It all depends on you. What do you know? Remember, it's not the format. What really depicts you, right? I mean, if you're an artist, maybe you would like a particular format. If you're applying for a job as a designer, if you're an IT, you want something a little more, data driven or something to replicate data. It all depends on what you want your brand to be like. Right? Personally, this is what I use, but there's no hard and fast rule. You have to stick by it. Next one, Avodia.
Yes. Can we leave out the working experiences from the CV when you are applying for a job for the first time?
Can we leave it out? Is it?
Can we leave out the working experiences when we apply?
Okay, yeah. So if it's your first job, maybe you don't have work experience, right? But what you can put is, what else do you bring to the table? Volunteer work, projects, assignments, internships. These are things that are very unique. Because when I'm coming to interview you for your career day, I won't ask you about your degree because all of you have the same degree. I want to see what else do you bring to the table. Volunteer work, extracurricular activities, internships. These are things that will really interest me.
And here we have, what if my resume is too long and wordy? How do I cut down it efficiently?
Okay, it's like this, right? Put the most important points. Even say you have work experience and you have 20 points. You don't need 20 points. Put the 5 most important points, what you think your employer will want to see, right? So cut it down. I mean, suppose you're working 5 places, right? You only put the information of responsibilities and accomplishments for the first 2 places. The rest of them, you don't have to add that amount of detail, right? Put what you think your employer wants to see and limit it to a couple of points only. You don't have to have 10, 20 points. It doesn't have to work like that.
Okay, so that's all in the chat box. So guys, if you have any questions, you feel free to use the chat box as well.
Navodia, is it possible to get a picture with everyone as well, whoever is in a position to turn on your camera?
Yeah, we are going to take a photo.
Awesome.
Okay, so thank you very much for that insightful words, Mr. Mas. So a kind request from you all, we will be circulating a feedback form in the chat box. So feel free to give your comments and feedback regarding today's program. So I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Mas Samangan for accepting our honorable invitation today. So please accept this digital token of appreciation, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this. Let me quickly take a screenshot of it. 1 second.
Thank you very much, sir. So now I invite all our participants to switch on your camera to take a quick photo.
Guys, and also if you all want to reach out to me, want someone to look at your CV, please drop me a message on LinkedIn or social media or whatever. I'm more than happy to help you guys out if you need any support, right? So don't worry about it.
Okay, we are waiting to switch on cameras, all of you. Okay, I'll count. 3. Yeah. Okay, I will count. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure. Keep in touch and all the best. Thanks, Navodaya and the team for inviting me. Love being a part of this, and thanks, Kavin, as well. I'll catch you all soon. Take care, guys.
Thank you, sir. So without taking much time, now I would like to invite Vice Chair, Studpro 5.0, Mr. Sahan Edirivire, to deliver the word of thanks.
I suppose you can hear me, right?
Yeah, sure.
So, good evening, everyone. It's my privilege to give the word of thanks on this special occasion. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Mas Sevarahan for his fantastic session. It was quite educational, and I hope everyone took the best out of it. I'd like to thank the IEEE young professionals for their tremendous support. I'd like to thank the IEEE Region 10 Sri Lanka Section Student Activities Committee for their immeasurable support throughout this process. Finally, I'd like to thank you all for participating and making this event a success. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have come to the end of this unique webinar that explores the essence of Create Your Job Winning CV for Computing Stream. Hope to see you guys with another informative session. So thank you very much. Stay safe and have a good day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sahan. Thank you, everyone. Speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.